What's going on, people? Welcome back to Premzy TV, and it's that time, people. The North London derby is around the corner, and we've got a special show for you. You get me? Let me introduce, first of all, the away end. You get me? The Tottenham boys. First of all, everyone knows Patrick. He's been on the channel every week. Premier League Unpacked, one of the best Tottenham geezers out there. What you telling me, Patrick? You good, my brother?
Oh, I'm good, man. Excited. It's going to be a good weekend. We got basically, it's Derby Day weekend, isn't it? Man United or Manchester Derby tomorrow, and then the best derby in the Premier League, probably in England at the moment, North London Derby Sunday. It's going to kick off, man. It's going to be sick.
My G. Second of all, we got Toby, needs no introduction. Big Six finest, you get me? We've got him in the cut. Appreciate your time, my brother. What you telling me? You good?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, man. Yes, very spicy weekend coming up. So, boy, someone's going to be happy. Someone's not going to be happy. Let's see.
I think it's a debut on the channel for you as well, and it's the first time.
Yeah. It's my first time here. It's my first time here, man. Yeah.
So
happy to
big up to you, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
And last but not least, as you can see, we got two very intellectual Spurs fans in the cut. So I had to bring up the lawyer, my boy Sheroy. You get me, just in case I need to bust case.
Hopefully it won't come to that, man. How you doing? You keeping well?
Yeah, man. I'm buzzing, I'm not going to lie. I'm actually confident and excited for this game. I'm going to be putting my neck out on this stream. I'm not going to get it twisted. I'm going to be putting my neck out. So if I get clipped up, it is what it is, people. But look, obviously, we're going to dive straight into it. Just before I do so, I just want to say smash a like on the video. I also want to say big up to my boy Harry from Japan. Massive Arsenal fan. Sent me a box of gifts as well. So big up to yourself. You get me? And look, boys, it's going to be a very, very anticipated weekend. You get me? The Manchester Derby is playing tomorrow. You get me? Which is going to have a big impact on our results as well and where we're kind of heading because we're all kind of around the same kind of place. Look, I'm going to start with you first, Patrick. Yeah. Who needs to win this game more, Arsenal or Tottenham?
You know what? I've been asked this question a few times, and I'm going to say us is that we're chasing top four. We're obviously 2 points behind Newcastle, 2 points behind United. Newcastle sit third, United sit fourth. Manchester United have the Manchester Derby, at hand. Newcastle have been flying. There's no way we can let you guys come to our home ground and run us off the pitch. At the moment, you guys are the best team in the league. You're playing the best football. All we're hearing is, it's a different Arsenal this year and this and that. We're at home. We need to show pride. We need to show passion. The fans need to get behind the team. Whether you're Levy in or Levy out, whether you're Conte in or Conte out, no one should be Conte out anyway. But regardless of what you think, get behind the team, battle, fight. There's no way this Arsenal team should leave White Hart Lane with anything. Not a draw. It should be 0 points. We need to get that W. So yeah, we need it more.
Say no more. Toby, look, yous need it more. Obviously, I think we probably differ on opinions who needs it more because we're going for the title, but it's a chance for you boys now to actually put a little dent in our title hopes. You get me? What you thinking going into this game? Because I've seen that you've been confident over the last couple of years. This year, when I've been watching your stuff, you don't seem that confident, my guy.
Yeah, man. It's I can't lie. The usual confidence, it's been knocked a couple levels down because of how poor we've been in a lot of our games this season. But like Patrick said, it's still a North London derby, right? And I think what has sort of boosted what's left of my confidence in the last couple of days is the news that some of our key players are back. Kulusevski's back, Bentancur's back, Richarlison's back. So at the very least, one or two of those players will be starting on the weekend, and the other will be on the bench as well. So that's come at a really good time for us as well. And like you said, putting a dent in Arsenal's title charge would be fantastic. But it's not the sole objective of Sunday. The sole objective on Sunday is to get 3 points and maintain a push for top four, because we're entering a very, very difficult period, man. And we need to start this period in the best possible fashion. Like we had a absolutely horrible start to the year with Aston Villa losing that game 2-1, but we beat Palace 4-0. Not really going to take too much away from that game, but at the very least, we now have Arsenal next. We have Man City on Thursday. We have Fulham away on Sunday. We saw Fulham literally just last night against Chelsea, and then we have Man City again. So it's very important that we get 3 points of Arsenal and give ourselves the confidence boost that we need to go into the rest of our fixtures in January.
So you're focusing more on top four, unlike Patrick, because last week he was telling me he'd rather get beat by Man City twice, you get me, so we don't win the league. That's what I'm hearing, you get me, bro. So you're a bit different to what Patrick
Let me tell you this.
is
Let me tell you this for free. Let's just say I won't be as upset if we went to Man City and lost
Thank you.
next week as I would be if we lost to you guys on Sunday. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Say no more. Sheroy, look, yeah, I'm not going to lie. There feels like there's a lot of pressure on this game for us. A lot of pressure. We haven't won there in a long time. You know, since they've even had the new stadium, we haven't won there. Now, is it right to say if we really want to be considered as title favourites or leading the charge in the right direction, we have to go there and get a result?
I don't think any one game at this stage of the season dictates whether you're going to win the title or not, if I'm being perfectly honest, right? But this reminds me of when Liverpool came to the Emirates this year, because I was sitting there thinking we never beat Liverpool. Last year, we didn't even score against Liverpool. If we're not going to beat them now in the form that we're in, when are we going to do it? And I have exactly the same feeling about going to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this weekend. If our captain has just won Player of the Month, if our manager has just won Manager of the Month, if we've got near enough a full strength 11 that we're all pretty happy with, and Tottenham fans, step in if I'm wrong here, there is some discontent within the fan base as to their manager. A lot of Tottenham fans aren't particularly happy with the entire group of players, happy with a handful, but not happy with the entire group. And they feel as though there are problems with the ownership. Surely this is the time for that result to fall in our favour. That being said, rationality flies out of the window in this game, right? As we all know. And this Arsenal team, I'd like to think that we could handle the occasion and that we've learned from past mistakes. But we saw with the Newcastle game that if there is a bit of shithousery and if the referee's not necessarily on our side and tackles fly in and our play breaks up, do we have the answer for that? And one thing that Tottenham certainly have is a manager that's very astute in that sense and players that know what they're doing in that regard, right? So I think we're going to have to show a lot of maturity. That being said, I don't think either fan base is particularly nailed on that they're going to win, right? I've seen a lot of humility that I'm not necessarily used to from Tottenham fans online as to the result. But I also think that a lot of Arsenal fans are very conscious of the fact that we have a horrible record at your stadium. So my head says, you know, I mean, this could be a win for us, a win for them, or a draw. But there's just something within me that says, you know what, we've righted a lot of wrongs this season with regard to historic results, and I think this is another. And I think this is another that we ought to right, and I think we may well do.
You know what? I hear that. For me, I'm not going to lie. It is a little bit worrying in the sense that they have players like Harry Kane who end up turning up against us all the time. But as you can see with the thumbnail, I'm confident. I'm expecting that chicken to get choked. You get me? That's what I'm expecting. So we have to go in full of confidence, because if we're not confident being top of the table, yeah, when can we be confident? You get me? And that's how I see it. At the end of the day, if we go there, there's no shame in losing a North London derby, because like people say, form does end up going out the window. It's very feisty. For me, it's the best derby probably in world football for me. I'm not going to lie. And that's not just being biased because it's Arsenal and Tottenham. I think it's just generally right up there. I don't think you see that many red cards. You don't see that many scraps. You don't see half of the stuff you see in the North London derby anywhere else. You get me?
And good goals as well, Prems. There's some quality goals scored in these derbies. Like, we can name so many top quality goals and moments in these games. So it's not just all about that. It's also about the quality of the football. And usually it is good. So, like
Cesc Fabregas and that, taking the ball from literally kick-off, going up the score and stuff like that. But look, Toby, let me come to you, yeah? Harry Kane, big danger, man. Is he going to show up?
Yeah, he is. He's going to show up for sure, man. This is Mr. North London Derby playing in front of his own fans, man. He's going to show up. I'm expecting a big performance from Harry Kane, man. I think it's long overdue. I think the performances this season have not been to the standard that we expect. But if there's one thing we know about Harry Kane, he's a sharpshooter. And this season, he's been razor sharp. I read a couple of days ago that, like, this is the most goals he's had at this stage of a Premier League campaign. So at 18 Premier League games, he's got 15 goals. So if he continues at the rate he's going at, he's probably going to hit 30 if he stays fit. So for me, I don't even have to question whether Harry Kane is going to have an input into this match, but he has to deliver. He has to, because some of the performances that we've seen from Harry Kane in the big games this season have just not been good enough.
Also, obviously, in some of the Premier League games, you've seen Harry Kane not touch the ball for the first 20 minutes or so. I wanted to ask you, do you think the Crystal Palace result is just like papering over the cracks a little bit? Because Tottenham have been a pile of shit in recent weeks. And that's not me just hating. I think you've done well in certain aspects to try to grind results out. But the Tottenham that I've been seeing, I'm guessing all of you have been watching the same kind of Tottenham I've been looking at. And they don't really look very scary at all. You get me? They're conceding 2 goals all the time. First half, poor, absolutely poor. Second half, they have to get themselves back up for it and get a result. Now, the way that Arsenal have been starting every game, more or less, getting that early goal, is that not a worry for you, Patrick? That we'll go in, get that early goal, and then
it goes both ways, because you know, I know you said that we've been a pile of shit, but to be fair, our second half performances have been really good. Yes, sometimes we are battling a 2-goal deficit, which is something you don't want to see. But even against Crystal Palace, first half we weren't great. Second half, and going back to what Tobe said, that's the first game in a long time I've seen Kane take the game by the scruff of the neck. Obviously got the first goal. Second goal was absolute class. So it feels like he's bubbling up nicely for this game, which is, you know, North London derbies is where you see Kane come to life. So yeah, we need to be cautious of you guys, because you're probably the best starters in the Premier League in terms of playing front foot football from the off, where we're probably the best second half team. So it's going to be there's that very interesting dynamic. And you guys, even if you get a goal or two, you'll be nervous, because you know that we can come back into the game, and we've done it a lot of times. Even Stamford Bridge away, Chelsea, when we were like down and out in that game, God knows how, but when Charleston come on and we scraped a 2-2 draw. So we're known to still have that in us. But I don't want to see us go a goal down. I don't want to see us go 2 goals down. No bozo mistakes. No lackluster performances from Eric Dyer or Hugo Lloris just gifting goals, and just play. You know, if you beat us, you beat us. You know, obviously, like Tobe said, there's no shame. I think it was you, Premzy. There's no shame losing the North London derby, but it's the manner in how you prepare. It's the manner in how you set up for it. And Conte as well has got to take some blame for that, because whatever Conte's saying to these games, to these guys at the beginning of the games, it's not working. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening at halftime, if it's Kane stepping in or Lloris or someone but we need to be on it from the minute one, because right now, Arsenal, and I hate to say it, but I've just got to be honest, Arsenal are the most dangerous team in the Premier League in terms of how you play your football, in terms of how you know, your front three is very dynamic and fluid, but you're also very astute. You don't let in a lot of goals. So we need to come with a proper game plan if we want to beat you guys. I do believe, something tells me, I don't know what, but something tells me that we will win. But we've got to do the things the right way. There's no room for error in this game. Honestly, it's going to be such a tight game.
Just before we move on to Sheroy, questions come in for Patrick and Toby. Any news on Kulusevski and Bentancur yet? Obviously, I'm hearing Kula's going to be fit.
Answer that.
Don't know.
Yeah, so Kulusevski's definitely going to start. Conte already confirmed. So he was back in training on Wednesday.
Yeah, he's had a few days.
So Conte said today, yeah, like he's in good shape to play, so he will start the game for sure. Conte didn't rule out Bentancur and Richie. Said we have to be patient. They're going to go through some more tests tomorrow, but I would expect that Bentancur is either going to start or be on the bench. I don't see him missing out in this game. And Richie, I would absolutely love. I would love for him to be available on the bench, so someone we can bring on, because I feel like if the game's at a stalemate, he's definitely someone that can come on and change the game for us.
Well, that's a big positive for you guys, really, because Bentancur, top player, you know what I mean? I can't see him missing that out. Sheroy, look, we got to focus on ourselves now. The one thing that I'm looking forward to is Tottenham coming out to play, because I don't think they can play how they've been in recent games and sitting back and soaking the pressure up and hitting on the counter and stuff. Because at home, I'm sure the Tottenham fans ain't going to be accepting that. Do you reckon that will play in our hands? Because we like it when teams try to come and step toe-to-toe. We find it normally a bit difficult when teams are sitting back in and soaking up the pressure.
I don't think that's what Tottenham will do, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think it's suicide to try and come out punch for punch. Particularly if Bentancur's not playing, by the way. I mean, I've heard a lot of when's Kulusevski back, but Bentancur is so essential, and he's a player that I would have happily taken at Arsenal in that window that Tottenham got him, if I'm being honest. I think he addresses a position where we really need that depth. I think they need to be very astute in those early minutes, because I mean, I mentioned the Liverpool game earlier. Martinelli scored in the first minute of that game, and it was an uphill battle for Liverpool there. And I know that Tottenham have turned games around in the second half of many games this season, but with respect, we're a slightly different kettle of fish at the back. We're the second best defensive team in this league, so it's not going to be as easy to overcome a 2 or 3 goal deficit in the second half, right? I don't think going punch for punch makes much sense, particularly with the form of Partey, Xhaka, and Odegaard. And even if Bentancur is fit, when was the last time he had a competitive 90? You know, if you're going punch for punch and it's end to end and it's like a basketball match, I just don't think he's going to be able to keep up with it. I think, that being said, it's a fine balance between doing that and sitting there and just constantly inviting pressure. Right? That's where I think Antonio Conte, look, if there's a manager that can drill a team to be tactically astute and know when to pick and choose their opportunities and be clinical, it's Conte. You know, so I think that's the game plan that they've had success with previously against big teams, you know, better teams than us, like the City team that won the league last year. They had success in the same regard. I think that's the way that they would have to set up. That being said, this is the first time in, I'd say, over a decade that I'm going there confident that even if Tottenham turn up and are at their best, if we are also at our best, I do think we get the result. And I haven't been able to say that for a very long time. I think that's fair. Based on form this year,
even with home court advantage, even though you know that typically the team that is at home wins this game, and even with our fans, you still think that, you still feel that way.
If we both turn up to the best of our capabilities, the reason I still feel that way, I know there's been a lot of Arsenal on a different side this year, but for me, this game, the United game, this month basically is the litmus test to figure out how different are we. Yeah. How different are we? And if I'm looking at this season, I'm not saying that beating Chelsea is any massive achievement, but we went away and won there. We've beaten Liverpool, which is something that we very rarely do, and our win percentage this year is crazy. It really is. To have only drawn 2 and lost 1 with the amount of games that we played. I do think that if we turn up and we're on our game, even if you are, we just edge it. I'm not saying this is going to be a one-sided match. I'm not saying we're going to blitz you. I'm not saying we're going to put 3 past you. It will be a tightly contested affair either way.
Yeah, no,
the one thing that I really hope is that neither side has any excuses at the end of this game. I don't want this to turn on a horrible refereeing decision.
Yeah.
I don't want this to turn on some moment of madness from someone like Emerson or you know, Rob Holding-esque from last season, because they sort of mar the results. And they always, you know, you can't really assess the game because the other fan base will always say, oh, but that.
Exactly.
That's
bang on.
You know what? I can't help laugh every time I hear that name. Emerson Royale, man. It's a fucking easy.
Hopefully he doesn't start.
You hit the nail on the head, Sheroy. Like, and some of our fans said it this season. Oh, Emerson's red card changed the game. Yeah, it changed the game as a contest, but we were losing the match before. Emerson got sent off. The only difference it made was that Emerson basically ruled out any possibility of us getting back into the game, but we were losing and we deserved to be losing at that point in time. Same way last season, Rob Holding got sent off. We were 1-0 up before Rob Holding got sent off. So I don't like when these decisions, like you said, tarnish like the trajectory of the game. And I actually call me crazy, right? And if we lose, we lose. But at the very least, there'll be no excuses, right? I don't want there to be any excuse from Arsenal fans. Don't even tell me about Jesus, because Eddie Nketiah is firing on all cylinders. Arsenal have a full complement available apart from Gabriel Jesus, right? I want Partey to play. I want Odegaard to play, because if we win, I want there to be no excuses whatsoever, because all now for the last couple of years, I've heard from Arsenal fans, oh, the ref's on your side. Oh, you had injuries. Oh, this player gave the ball away. There's always been ifs and buts, but whenever it's Spurs at the Emirates, oh, we blew them away. Oh, they bottled it. This, that, and the third. So I want there to be no excuses. If you come to our ground, top of the league, you play your stuff and you win, hats off to you. You'll get your plaudits. If you lose, I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't think anyone can rely upon the Jesus injury either, because look, if you're going to be talking about yourselves either as top 4 contenders or title contenders, you can't say that you're bound to lose a game because you lose any one player. Quite frankly, it's just not good enough. I don't care who it is, even if it's you guys and Harry Kane, that's not good enough. You know, you ought to have a replacement. You guys do in Richarlison, we guys do in Nketiah. It is the way it is. So I completely agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. You know, I think we don't want that to be the case. I think something that's got to be looked at. I think the referees need to look at themselves in this game. It's a North London derby. It's going to be fiery. You get
Craig Pawson? Is it Craig Pawson?
Yeah, Craig Pawson.
let a lot of things go. I'm not saying let crunching tackles go, but let the game flow. Don't, if you hand out a yellow card early doors in this game, you're going to have to start handing out yellow cards left, right, and centre. And then it starts to become a problem because then somebody will get sent off. Like we said, Tottenham players, Antonio Conte, he knows how to get his players to make these other players go get under their skin and piss them off. Now, we all know what Granit Xhaka's like. I think this season we got to give him big credit and say, Granit Xhaka, he's kept his feet on the ground. He hasn't really been sent off. You know, he doesn't make dumb decisions like he has done over the last couple of years or so. But then again, you got to think Tottenham players, Højbjerg, players like that can get under players' skin. And if he does get under a Xhaka's skin and he's already on a yellow, it's going to be sad time. So I don't want to see that. I want to see a nice game, fast flowing, referee not getting too much involved, just basically just reffing it in a decent manner. But Patrick, Sheroy was saying that he sees you sitting back. Is the Tottenham fans going to allow that? Are you not going to want to be up for it to push that team forward to be on the ascendancy? Or are you going to be happy to just sit back, soak up the pressure and try to hit us on that counter?
Well, and if you win, would you even care? I mean, if you win, would you care about the style of football against us if you get the dub?
No.
You know, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Because you don't want Arsenal coming there and keeping them fans quiet, because the moment that happens, I don't think it's going to be great.
I mean, we do get. Sometimes I think it's a false positive, or basically, you know, people twist this whole idea of negative or defensive football. Because we score a lot of goals. We're the third highest scoring team in the league. In terms of possession-based football, yes, we don't have the same possession stats as maybe, you know, Arsenal or a Man City. But again, we're kind of there or thereabouts. But of course, I don't want to see us penned back and pinned into our own half and defending like maniacs for 50, 60, 70 minutes. I want to see us actually trying to play ball, but we need to also remember how we play and play within our capabilities. Like Sheroy was saying, if we try and go toe-to-toe with this Arsenal team, we're going to get beat. You just got to know your strengths and your capabilities. We know what Harry Kane can do. We know what Son can do. We know what a fit Kulu can do. And we also need to manage. You know, it's a game where we respect the opponent. We know your strengths and we try and nullify them. So Premzy, if we're going toe-to-toe with you guys, I don't think it's going to end the way we want it to end, but we also have to give you guys something to think about. That means also attacking you guys, finding space. If you're pushing up, Kane can drop deep, whip one of those passes, Kulu running off players, Son running off players, Kulu getting the ball, cutting inside and whipping it to the back post, Bentancur hopefully breaking the lines like he usually does. You know, Romero being a progressive ball carrier and pushing the ball up. Bentancur's sitting back, it allows Højbjerg to push up a bit. So there's all these elements of our play that we have to allow. We also ideally don't want Emerson Royale playing. Doherty's not great, but at least he gives us a bit more than Emerson Royale. So there's a lot of things. And Conte also needs to manage the game and bring subs on at the right time. One of my biggest, grievances with Conte is the substitutions and the time and how long he takes to adapt to games. Where I would say someone like Eddie Howe and Arteta were brilliant at their in-game management, Conte for me is lacking in that department. So there's a lot. But no, Premzy, going back to your initial question, we can't just sit back and allow you guys to play because it might be too late by the time we react, if that's the case.
Is that not just due to personnel, though, him not be able to make them changes? Because at Arsenal, you know, our squad depth ain't quite there. Look, in a couple of games where we needed to bring on players, the only attacking threat we had is a Fabio Vieira. And for me, Fabio Vieira, there's brilliance in him, but he needs to get used to this league. He needs to bulk up a little bit before we see the best of Fabio Vieira. Do you not put that down to that rather than a Conte? That he's...
Is that me or Tobes?
For you or Toby, one or the other? Go, Tobes. You can answer that.
You go, Tobes.
I'm sorry
because I've had a lot of injuries.
So are we talking about like the blame, like how much blame can we put on Conte, or? Yeah,
basically.
I do think you can put a lot. I think you can put a lot of blame on Conte. I don't think he's solely to blame, right? Because we watch the games. There are games where we've actually played quite well to start off with, and we're 1-0 down because a player's made a complete mess of a basic situation, right? But I do think Conte definitely needs to hold some stick, man. He does. And he's not infallible, right? Like, he's a world-class manager, but he has his faults. And when he's not coaching the team well enough, you have to call a spade a spade. It doesn't mean that he should be sacked. It doesn't mean that he's not good enough. He evidently is. But he's just he's made a mess of too many matches for Spurs this season. The tactics have been off, the substitutions have been off, the team selection have been off. It's just the lack of rotation has been apparent, especially in the midfield and attack. I think we've had some players that have been like maxed out in terms of their utilization, and we've had some players who have been rarely utilized. And when those players who have been rarely utilized come into the team, they don't have a rhythm, and we're just expecting them to just make it happen, and it's not going to happen. He persists in playing terrible players in wing back positions, players that shouldn't be starting for us, and where he has the option to play someone like a Jet Spence, he just won't do it. So he has to take blame as our coach. Yes, you want more options in defense in terms of the quality of player you're looking for. Yes, we know what you want, but with the squad that he's been given, Spurs are not as bad as we have shown this season. Like, we have a squad that is capable of playing better than we have done this season, and ultimately you have to put significant blame on the manager.
You did play better than that. There were times last year where you did play better football.
Exactly, and that's why
very similar team. That's why I was so
exactly. So it's not like we're dumping on him. Like, we're literally judging him by his own standard. Because
I like to get the panel, the community involved as well. There's a question that's put up here, and obviously I think this is the right time to answer it. Will he be here next season, Conte? In your eyes?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Get sacked.
I hope so. I don't think so.
I think so.
I hope so,
be
but
fair.
I don't think so.
I think so. I think the media love to spin things, and every time we lose a game or something happens, Conte's going to walk on. To be fair, even Conte's come out and said, "I'm happy here. Obviously, I'd like to have more backing and blah, blah, blah." His backroom staff has said the same. So I don't see it, man. Personally, I think he'll be all right. But January needs to start talking, as in, like, we need players in. We all know the weaknesses in our squad. We all know what Daniel Levy needs to do. It's time to put up or shut up, basically.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all a mad thing over there. If he don't get what he needs, I'm telling you, he's giving it tiptoes. He's walking out of there. That's what's happening. But Sheroy, what do we need to do to beat these? What do we need to see from our players? Because we've touched on we need to keep our heads. We've touched on maybe the style of play. But what do we need to see? Who needs to step up? Who needs to really shine in this game in order for us to win this game?
Our style of play doesn't really vary that much from game to game, regardless of the opponent. That's one of the things I love about this team this year. We play the same way against everyone, whether we're playing against 19th or whether we're playing against 3rd. It doesn't really make a difference. I think, of course, when you have Kane, Son and Kulusevski there, Xhaka is going to have to be very, very astute and positionally aware to sort of make sure that nothing goes horribly wrong in the middle of the park, as is Partey. The back four will have to be on job. I think, to be honest, one of the areas that we could exploit, if the Spurs fans are saying that Matt Doherty is going to start, I really think that is a flank. That is a flank where there could be serious trouble. And I mean, who would start on the other side for you? Perisic?
Yeah, Perisic will start on that side.
He'll start.
Okay, so I really do think it's a case of pace down the flanks. If they can't handle our width, then there'll be real trouble. And also, again, the only thing that I don't want to see, I said it at the beginning, the only thing I don't want to see is us being led astray from our style of play and the game that we want to play by what I think will be Antonio Conte's tactics, the constant interruption of rhythm, hitting us hard, breaking up play. Honestly, this isn't meant to sound condescending, but I wouldn't be surprised if Spurs also started sort of deliberately time wasting in the second half, not because they feel as though they're on the back foot, but just to piss us off, because they know that is a way of getting at this Arsenal team. You know,
a bit like what Newcastle were doing though as well. That's
exactly.
I
think going forward, I think Spurs have a lot more attacking quality, and will have to be more adventurous because they're home. But do
you think Spurs are a better team than Newcastle this year?
I think their front three is better than Newcastle's front three when fully firing. Yeah, and I mean, people say that Harry Kane turns up against Arsenal. Harry Kane turns up against everyone. Look at his numbers.
No, but he loves playing against us. I think he's the leading goal scorer in the North London derbies now.
He is, but I wouldn't be surprised. People talk about
us
because it's the North London derby, but I wouldn't be surprised if he had that record against a number of other teams as well. The guy just bangs goals.
Yeah,
it is what it is, right? And again, with us, we're the makers of our own misfortune and our own downfall in a lot of these losses. You can look at the United game. I honestly think that was naivety. That wasn't a lack of ability. You can look at where we dropped points against Southampton. Again, I think we had more than enough to win that game, and we were our own worst enemy. I think if we lose this game, it will be because of some sort of ineptitude at our end, as opposed to us getting played off the park.
I hear that. Toby, Look, yeah,
I don't
Roy-
like that. And I don't think what you're saying is wrong about your losses this season, but I don't like the notion that if you lose, it's going to be down to something you've done as opposed to us just playing well.
I know, and I said I didn't mean it in a condescending way, but that
I know.
that stems from
Still
my.
hurts. Still hurts to hear. Yeah?
It stems
I don't
from
like
what I
it.
said earlier.
Mean it in a condescending way, fam.
I don't
Mean
like
it
it
in that way.
because there's the reason why I say I don't like it is because as whatever you say, I can't remember the last game you've come to our ground and deserved anything less than a point since probably the last season at Wembley when Aubameyang missed that penalty. I think that's probably the best performance I've seen from an Arsenal side at our ground in years. Every other game you've been second best, and if anything, I even feel like there have been games where we've been so much better and we've not made our superiority count. We could have made it really, really embarrassing. The last season at White Hart Lane, that was exemplified. The first season at Wembley, I think Lacazette missed the chance right at the end, but I was at that game. Lamela had like 3 or 4 chances to put the game to bed. Harry Kane had a multitude of chances in the second half. It was just chance after chance after chance after chance. So let's see. Listen, Arsenal are.
We need to sort these fucking Tottenham fans
No,
right
it's-
out.
you're saying we're
We need to
facts.
nail in the
Look at what you
coffin,
said.
mate. I'm not
If you
liking all of this. Get me all of
Sheroy
this fucking talk.
Sheroy basically said, if Spurs are to win this, it's down to Arsenal doing dumb things as opposed to like, no, we have players.
I think it would be. You know why I was saying that?
No.
Because we've been playing so well this season. Yeah, if we turn up and have a stinker, yeah, it's going to be down to ourselves. Look, so far this season, with what 15, 16, 17 games gone, I don't think we've looked out of sorts. It's not a false position being first. And if we end up turning up to your ground and end up pulling a stinker, I think we've just got ourselves to blame for that, really, because the way things are going, we should be getting this victory because you haven't been fantastic.
Come and get it. You're right.
You're top of
the league. You're flying high. You're scoring the most goals. You got the second best defensive record in the league, and you got all your players fit apart from Gabriel Jesus. So you're right. Form and performances suggest that you lot are coming in for 3 points. So all I'm saying to you is come and get it. Come and get the 3 points.
What you're going to be getting, is getting put in a headlock, fam, when we come over there. That's not going to be happening. I'm telling you.
If I get put in a headlock, then I'm gone. But I want you to come and I want you and your team to come and put us in a headlock because we've heard how good you are. So come and show it.
We've never spoken about previous North London derby because this is the first time I'm meeting the two of you at least. But I haven't been saying that for I'd say the last 10 years when coming to your stadium. But as you said, look, this is a very different Arsenal side, and that's where this belief stems from. The reason I'm saying that a loss will be down to our mistake, that comes from the mindset that I tried to sort of illustrate earlier, which is I really do think if we both turn up at our best, we ought to be winning this, given the state of both teams at this moment in time. And that's where that came from.
Also, football games, every game's different, and sometimes we may turn up and have a defensive masterclass. We may stifle you guys. We may actually limit your chances. We may not allow you to have clear-cut opportunities on goal. All these things can happen, and then we may just win the game because we were the better team, not because you lot made mistakes or this and that. And again, you lot could play us off the park. It's definitely possible. And we may be under a barrage of attack after attack, and we're just like, wow. Because obviously, I know they say form goes out the window, but this Arsenal team have been way better than most of the teams in the league, if not all teams. So there's a lot riding on it. But then also at the same time, pressure makes people and teams do weird things, and both teams will be coming into this game with a lot of pressure. I think there's more pressure on Arsenal, if we're being real, coming into this game because of how well you've been playing and because of what's at stake for you guys. If you lot win on Sunday and Man City drop points, you lay a massive marker down to everybody. Man City lost away to Southampton 2-0. Mental. They're all over the place. So if you lot win on Sunday, you lay a marker down regardless. So I feel the onus is more on you. Like Tobes is saying, come and get it. All we're hearing is Arsenal fantastic, Arsenal this, Arsenal that. It's time for you lot to show it. So I do feel...
Have you not heard, boys? We're the new mentality monsters, mate. We've got a psychiatrist.
Yes, but come and show it, man.
He's fixing these boys up because, no, look, putting no joking aside, I think that is one factor as well. I think the mentality side of the Arsenal has changed massively, where before we couldn't go to Old Trafford and get a victory, we go and do it. We're struggling at Stamford Bridge, we'll go and do it. We'll get battered by Liverpool at home, now we go and do it. You get me? So I think we are actually flicking that switch. And I think that is the difference of this Arsenal team to teams of the past. And I think Arteta's got a lot to take credit for. And I think that's why a lot of Arsenal fans are confident this time, because like we said, and we touched on, it's difficult to go to Spurs and get a result. Normally, the North London derbies, the home side wins. Yeah. However, with the mentality that we've seen from the boys, how many times have I been on a podcast with you, Patrick, and it's, let's see what happens next week. Let's see what happens when you play Tottenham. Let's see what happens when you play Liverpool, and so on and so on. And we keep overriding these tests. So you have to be confident going into this as an Arsenal fan. I agree with both of you. Pressure is going to be there. Pressure's always there in these kind of games. But 100. Like I said, if you're not confident now being top of the table, 5 points clear of the best team that we've probably seen in the Premier League era for time, you get me, Man City. When are we going to be confident?
What I will say about the mentality...
No, I've got no problem with you being confident. Sorry, go on, Patrick.
Yeah, no, so I was going to say, what I want to say about the mentality is I agree. You guys deserve to be where you are. You've won all your games without any dodgy decisions or luck going your way. But I will basically applaud your mentality when I see you lose 1 or 2 games and then you bounce back and go on another run. I haven't seen you lot in a sticky patch at the moment. Your form's been fantastic. You've seen Chelsea in a sticky patch. You've seen Tottenham in a sticky patch. You've even seen City go through sticky patches. I want to see you guys go through a bit of the mud and see how you bounce back. And then I'll be able to really assess your mentality. But right now, everything's going your way because of obviously the way you're playing. So I can't really give you that mentality monsters thing yet.
I don't know, but when teams are winning the league and that, they don't really normally go in the mud them kind of seasons.
But
it all normally goes their way. So hopefully that's what I'm saying for.
I think it goes to mentality that we haven't lost in clusters, because we did lose to United and then we did go on and win.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
That's the thing. So I think last year we were often criticised because we wouldn't just lose to Palace, we'd lose to Palace, Brighton, and Southampton, whereas this team hasn't done that. So, but then conversely, look, I'm not here to fight the Tottenham fans' corner, but they could say they go 2-3-0 down and they turn it around. So that also does illustrate some sort of mentality, albeit not from a position that you'd want to be in. But
they don't want to go 2-0 down to us though, because the one thing we've been good at is managing games, and that's something we've not seen for a long time. When Arsenal are in a winning position, very rarely we drop points from that position. You know what I mean? And I think William Saliba coming in the back line, partnership with Gabriel, Ben White playing out of his skin, I think that's a big part of it. And Thomas Partey, a lot of people always talk about Thomas Partey, that, he's not that great, this, that, and the other. I've had loads of debates with him, Casemiro, Rodri. But people need to start putting respect on his name, because when he's out of our team, bro, it's a big L. If you look at the record between Partey in and Partey out, it's drastic. And I'm telling you now for a fact, I am so happy that Thomas Partey is this year going to travel to Tottenham, because we all seen what he done early on in the season, that peach of a shot. Get me, another one's coming up. Believe me. But look, we're going to go into some predictions and that before we wrap it up. Obviously, you know, we don't want to hit the stream too long. We want to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to start off with Patrick first of all. Give me your prediction. Honest.
2-1 Tottenham. Very tight game, very cagey. I think Arsenal will score first, probably 1-0 down at half time, and then we turn it around in the second half and just nick it. But it's going to be a tight game.
Toby.
2-1 Spurs. Harry Kane. I think he might get a brace and break Groovy's all-time record at Spurs. So yeah, I'm going for a 2-1 win to Spurs. Not going to be an easy game, but a game that we can nick.
No, I like it. You get me confident in your team. That's how all fans should be, mate. I'm telling you. Sheroy, talk to me.
Look, I can see a Harry Kane brace as well. Best of luck to him with Groovy's record, which is why I'm going 3-2 Arsenal. I think that we're gonna exploit the flanks a lot more than most teams have done this season, and a lot more than most teams can do because of the quality we have in the wide areas. And I really do think that's where the game will be won.
Do you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go with 3-1 Arsenal. I think we're gonna turn up to town. We're going to put these man in a split. You get me? You're going to hear Toby and Patrick afterwards crying their eyes out. You get me? Moaning about it.
I will be crying my eyes out.
I hear moans, but I guarantee you these men are going to be moaning about something or another after the game, because the boys are here to take over now. Just what I'm saying is a total different Arsenal to what you've been accustomed to over the years. And trust me, it's not that time anymore for you. There's only one route for you, and that's down the table, fam. You get me? United are going to end up beating City. You get me? All of these teams around are going to end up winning.
Here we go.
And that's it. It's bad times. And I see you on Premier League Unpacked on Monday, fam. Yeah,
if that happens, if both results go that way, I'm calling in sick. I'm pulling the sick.
Let's see. Let's see.
What about best of the rest, fam? You can't do 2 sickies in 1 week, fam. You get me? You're stuck. You're stuck. But people, man, I just want to say thank you very much for the panel for coming on. Big up to everybody in the comments and the chat, man. It's been a good one. Patrick, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, Patrick Tyrant on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. It's right there. So hit me up, follow me, and all of that good stuff. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. Toby, inspirational, one of the best Spurs fans out there. And obviously, you guys, even though you're Arsenal, man, you're still good people. So yeah, all good.
Cheers, man.
You get me? Said that with pain. Toby, tell them where they can find you, my brother.
Tapping Tobes on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, like similar to Patrick as well. Thanks for having me on, Premzy, man. It's been a pleasure chopping up with you. I'm happy to have made my debut. Patrick, man, gent as always. Thanks for backing the corner for Spurs. Sheroy, actually one of the few level-headed Arsenal fans that I've actually met on streams. I think you're quite balanced. Unlike Premzy, for as long as I've known Premzy,
you tell he's a lawyer and I'm not.
No, Premzy.
I think that's why he brought me on.
The first day I met Premzy, yeah, when I tell you this guy was mouthing off about Arsenal, oh my days, man. He
Bro,
is one of the
what
most
happened, fam? You've been giving it in that North London derby preview, yeah? You's man got smoked. You get me? So every right to. You get every right to. Didn't hear from him afterwards. Didn't hear from him afterwards. You know what I'm saying? You get me? He had to get his brother on and all of that.
Listen, you know what? Yeah, you know what? The thing is, I do have love for you, Premzy, and you know, it's you and Saeed. It's your man accents. I love Manchester, right? So next time I'm in Manny, we're gonna do it up big.
Yo,
yeah,
hit me up, man. I look after you, bro. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Sheroy, tell him where they can find you, my brother.
To be honest, I'm very new to this whole talking football on YouTube thing. So if you just want to follow my personal socials, it's at SZAQ11 on Instagram and it's at Sheroy Zach on Twitter. That's ZAQ for the surname. Premzy, thank you so much for having me on, man. Second time on here. Time flies when I'm on your show, man. Honestly, it's a pleasure.
And don't let him gas you. He's on AFTV all the time, yeah. And this guy, this guy puts some good knowledge across. I'm telling you now for a fact. From the first time I met him, I thought, you know what? He's making me think about 1 or 2 things. You know what I'm saying? You get me? I was about to pull my hair out about Arteta. I started listening to him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I was going to be bald. But people, thank you very much once again. Peace and love. And we'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Gunners. Let's fucking have it.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.